Hello everybody, I've recently been doing more with alcohol inks and in a different way. I'm actually using traditional Yupo paper that is used with alcohol inks. I've got a little bit of a bend in my mat there, let me smooth that out. And I made some pictures as gifts and thought, hey, I could do that on a little video. So this is what I'm here to do. I have my alcohol inks here. I have my isopropyl alcohol in a dropper and in a spray bottle. I have some brushes and most importantly, toothbrushes. And I'm just going to have a little play around on camera and kind of let you see the sort of things I've done. Do I want raspberry? No, I want flamingo. These are Ranger inks that I'm using. And then some sort of a purpley, maybe purple twilight. So I'm going to do another seascape. If you take a look at my little video where I'm just framing the pieces that I made, you'll see that I made seascapes there as well. So I'm going to start with my raspberry. We're doing about 2/3 sky. So I'm just going to throw some of the inks on. I love this technique because when I saw someone else do this, I will say it's not my idea. I'm just doing my own thing based on techniques I've seen other people share. But it's really forgiving because I'm the sort of person who would always say, I'm creative, I'm quite artistic, but I would never call myself an artist. But this sort of thing is very free and flowing and relaxed. I'm just trying to decide whether I want cloudy blue or cool pearl. I think cool pearl is a bit more in keeping with what I've got on there already. Not to miss the top there. And then I'm just going to take my toothbrush, starting kind of at the bottom of the sky. Yes, this still is not flat. I am going to just run it across to get all the colours to start blending. Try and make sure there's no white gaps. I'm very frustrated that this mat has a lump in it right where I'm filming. So I'm just going to have to make the best of it. It might help to make some interesting shapes on here. Now I'm just going to leave this to dry for a minute before we go back in with our toothbrush and some alcohol. Right, so this is mostly dry. I'm not going to wait any longer because I'm impatient. I'm just going to spray some alcohol onto my toothbrush. I've given it a bit of a clean already. Just want some alcohol on it and I'm going to dab off any, I don't think we're going to get a lot of excess here, but I'm just going to take my toothbrush and run it through. Do you know what? I'm going to swap toothbrushes and I'll tell you why. I've got this child's toothbrush and the bristles are all the same height. My other brush, they are a bit more varied in length and you get good effects with both, but I want to kind of be able to really run through here. And start to create these sort of cloudy effect with the brush. And in fact, I'm going to pour it a bit with this because I think I need a bit more alcohol than that's better. And I've got, right now that's better, look. And you can see all the formation up here. Of sort of breakages and clouds, and I'm just irritated by this lump. Just going to work around these edges a bit more because you can see where my lump in the I'm going to turn it this way a minute and do that again, taking off any excess. Just working into the sides a bit more. To lighten up this bit as we come down the bottom. And I think this bit at the top needs a bit more going on there. There we go. Just leave that to dry for a few minutes. That needs to be a bit like that. There we go. Now something I might try, but I haven't decided, is to use one of these blending tools with felt on and just some alcohol and sort of dab it around to make a cloudier effect. So I'm always a bit nervous to try something I haven't tried, especially on a camera like this. But I just put some alcohol on there, and I've got a paper towel here. I might just, yeah, thought it just might make some sort of cloud effects. And you can sort of dab it off a bit to so it doesn't keep spreading too far. I quite like that. I think that's quite good. It looks like clouds, doesn't it? If I actually keep them all together, otherwise it might not look like clouds so much. Maybe a bit over there. So hopefully that looks something like a very abstract sky. And then we can move on to the sea at the bottom of the picture. Now for my sea, I think I'm going to use Stream. And I want a bit of a palette, so I'll be back in a minute. I haven't got that. So I have my Stream in my palette, and I have cleaned off my toothbrush. It may not be perfect, but I think it's clean enough. So I'm just going to dab my toothbrush in that and use it to like paint on my sea. And I'm going to have it sort of darker near the horizon line up here at the top, and then blend it down to be thinner down at the bottom here. I'm just going to, where have I put my alcohol bottle now? Here it is. Add some alcohol in and sort of blend this down. I don't really want to add any more ink. I want there to be, you know, a lightning. So in a similar way to how we waves in the sky. A cloudy sky effect. We kind of want the variation here with might just pop a bit on here. Because it's all a little bit thick and heavy. And basically just keep going until you're happy with how your waves look. And then I'm going to take my brush. Ooh, well, that's not clean from the last time I used it. That's helpful. It's got a green on it. or maybe we'll use this brush. That's why you should always make sure your brushes are clean. And tidy up the line of the sea here a little bit. Quite like this darker blue that's been made with the blending of the colours. I need some more alcohol. So I'm quite happy there's a bit more of that here on the edge there. Like so. Right, again, this just needs to dry for a second, and then we can move on to a few more finishing touches on the water. So now I'm going to use some spare pieces of Yupo paper to kind of protect the rest of the picture while I spray some alcohol waves here. So I just need to angle that there. I'll just pop another bit up here. We probably won't get up there, but you know. Now you can do this with your toothbrush and dip it in alcohol and like spray the bristles, for want of a better word. Or I'm going to try spritzing with my little alcohol spray here, because it's just a bit quicker and easier. And hopefully you can see when I take this off that we've created like a wavy line, a wave breaking. And I'm going to just move this down. Not completely dry, but it's mostly dry. So I'm just going to do the same thing further down and spray along with the alcohol. Now obviously with the doing it with a toothbrush you don't get as much alcohol, so it's not quite as messy and it doesn't go everywhere. I don't mind that little overspray there because it just looks more like a wave to me, where it sort of leaks through a little bit, but it depends how, you know, what you like on your wave effect. But I just want that to dry a minute. Just try and alternate the size of the waves. And let's try and spray from a bit further away to get less of a bleed through. There we go. But again, because this is supposed to be very natural, organic, and obviously impressionist, I'm really not going to worry too much. Let me just move that bit off now because it's not on. I can't just spray it up there. I don't mind, again, a bit of spritz because it just adds to the clouds. You can be as kind of careful or kind of loose with this technique as you like to be. I'll just squeeze one more on at the bottom. That's a good one. I quite like that darker bit there where it's moved through. And obviously I might go back in a minute and faff around with my toothbrush a little bit. Maybe try and blend that bit out a little bit, we'll see. Just like that. So, try and move these out of the way carefully because this Yupo paper is now covered in isopropyl. So, there's just pop a bit of alcohol in the top of my brush. Dab off the excess. I just want to sort of spread that out a bit because I don't want that harsh line there. Oh, that one at the top. You can just go back in and play around with any bits that you don't like as much. I just love using the toothbrush because I think it gives a really organic effect with the, you know, forming waves or clouds or those sorts of things. You don't have to work too hard. I think that might be as good as it's going to get. What I just don't know is whether I want any clouds further down, but I think it might spoil that effect if I bring the clouds any further down. You can obviously spritz up here, get more cloudy effects or anything like that. But I think I might be pretty happy with that. I don't know if I don't know how well you can see. If I pick this up, give you a bit of a closer look. This just needs to dry for 24 hours or so, and then it can be sealed with a spray varnish, ideally one with like UV protection in it to avoid the inks from fading over time. But obviously I've spent however long this has been, half an hour or so I would guess, and you've got a very unique original piece of artwork that nobody else will have. And even if you recreated this over and over again, no two pieces will ever be the same. You know, but you haven't had to labour over something for days, weeks or months to produce something really beautiful and eye-catching. So hopefully that was an interesting video for you, and check out my little framed pieces if you're interested in my finished little ones that I did, and I will be back soon, hopefully. Bye.